Welcome back to part 2 of our conversation with designated drinker and sex and relationship coach, Chelsey Allen. Now, if you've missed part 1, you should go ahead and belly up to the bar and give that a listen first. We'll save your seat right here for you. So, Chelsey, welcome back. Let's get right back into it, right? So, we were talking about sticky, ooey gooey stuff and finding your kink.
In a jar.
In a jar.
Duh.
So again, if you didn't hear that part of this episode, go back. You're going to want to hear it. So tell us about your specialties.
So as I mentioned earlier, I really like inner child work because that starts us right at the beginning of everything. And when we can work through that, we can also simultaneously work on things like boundaries, nonviolent communication, attachment theory, and shame and guilt are a super big topic that I like to work through because I feel like shame and guilt hold us back in the bedroom, especially in a lot of things, in a lot of different ways.
I was like in a lot of things in life, right?
But think about how much it holds you back in the bedroom, or how much shame holds us back in life, and the things that we would do if we didn't have shame and guilt around a lot of things, and we weren't worried about people judging us. We'd probably be pretty different people. Yeah. So I think it's important to work through that a lot of the time. And if you haven't seen Brene Brown's TED Talk on shame, go watch it on YouTube because it will change your life. She doesn't really talk about shame in the bedroom, but just you can kind of apply it to your whole life, and she really opens it up.
Yeah, I couldn't see her actually talking about sex. For some reason, as a fit. But it's funny you say that because my mother was really big on weight. Like she was very. She did not hold back her thought on anyone's physical makeup, and especially my own. I was the only kid that dealt with her weight. Everyone else, weight was not an issue, and my mother did not deal with it well. She put me on diet pills when I was 6, because for her it was a shame, and it's hard because you have to think about the fact that. My mother did the best. You have to believe they do the best they could with what they know, and that was obviously baggage that my mother didn't deal with. It actually resonates throughout my entire family on my mother's side. Not at the point that it did for my mother, but you can hear it. I can hear my brother. My brother will talk about just more concerned about his own weight, not about worried about anyone else's. So it's just interesting that plays a role and stays in your life everywhere.
That's that inner child stuff.
Yep, that's that inner child stuff. But yeah, I can see that. I could see obviously it holds you back when you're like, yeah, of course. It's like turn the lights off.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm like, turn them all on. I don't care.
Turn them all on. Run around naked. Woohoo!
So we don't have any. Yeah, I don't care.
Awesome.
I don't know. Something happened to me somewhere in my life, and I just flipped the switch, and I was like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You don't like it? Cool. You're in? Let's do this. I don't know. Something happened. I just became not as buttoned up as I was. I came from a very conservative house.
Yeah.
When it came to that.
Yeah.
But very affectionate. My father was super affectionate. My mother was mean, but
I struggle with shame. I struggle with boundaries. I'm a people pleaser, and it makes me miserable. So I work on my own stuff all the time. I do my own exercises that I do with my clients all the time.
So speaking of exercises, and we kind of talked about this when we did our little pre-interview, what is something that you could give our listeners? What is something that we should all work on to get to that, to your point, a healthier, more open, fulfilling sex life?
When I start at the beginning with someone, I usually take a 2-tiered approach, and one is a lot more fun than the other. So like I've said, sound like a broken record, but healing your inner child and releasing yourself of that guilt and shame is like the sexiest thing you can do. It'll just open your eyes and your spirit and everything. It's really something else. But the second thing I tell my clients is to masturbate. Masturbate. Honestly, yes.
It makes me giggle.
Get back to basics.
this is the greatest episode ever.
Get yourself back to basics. Find
Perfect.
out.
I can't do any more episodes today. I have to go.
Right?
Excuse me, I go to the bathroom.
I'm so in.
It's so important to get back to basics and find out what gets you off. So toys, lube, your hands, in the shower, rubbing against the side of the couch. Do it all. Try something weird. You're going to learn something about yourself that is probably buried deep down inside you, and it may bust your world wide open and make your sex life so much more enjoyable. And it's also going to bring you some confidence and some stability in who you are and what you like, and you can voice that to your partner. And if you think your kink or fetish is like the strangest thing in the world and you're so embarrassed or ashamed of it, I guarantee you that there is a Reddit thread and several websites and groups of people who are dedicated to that same exact thing that you like. So try something new, because if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. And our bodies and brains are so curious and excited to try new things. So do yourself a favor and do yourself.
I'm done. It's the greatest episode. I think that's the best advice I've ever had in my life.
Although the couch, I like my house really clean.
So, I understand what you're talking. I'm not saying I do that, but I'm saying I understand what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Because little kids, I have 2 little girls, they are, and I realize that they're 7 and 8, and there's a thing where they're supposed to now not, my mother was super strict on us, right? But we talked. I want them to be confident girls.
Yeah.
So you see them doing things, and you're like, what are you doing? And they're like, I don't know, it feels good. And you're like, God damn it.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's something that maybe you want to do by yourself, right? Or something like that. And I try not to put any guilt or shame on them for doing stuff.
Yeah.
Where my mother would have been like, your hand's gonna fall off and God's gonna take it away. And you're like, oh my God, I'm not gonna have my hand anymore. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or if you keep doing that, you're you're gonna go blind. That's what they tell little boys, right?
Yeah.
And little boys definitely grab at their penises like what? I have no idea. They're gonna yank it off their bodies. And they have no idea what they're doing. I mean, you could even, it's crazy. And they'll be like
innocence.
4, and they'll be like ripping it off their bodies. And you can see that they like it because they're just constantly doing it. So it's just so funny. But it is a hard thing to do. But do you agree with that you have to let little girls and boys just kind of not, inappropriately, in a grocery store, but you have to let them experience that rubbing sensation and I don't know. Not for pleasure. They don't know it's pleasurable. Absolutely. They just know that they like it. It's not sex.
I think it's so important to be so very careful the way, like you said with your daughters, you never want to guilt or shame because then you raise guilty and shamed adults kind of thing. So you do have to be so careful with how you're wording it. And you just have to explain, my roommate, Nanny's a 6-year-old boy. And same problem. He's a little boy and he just knows that it feels good. And he doesn't know why or anything like that. And she's like, I know that feels good and that's your penis.
Yeah.
And you're free to touch that as much as you want in the privacy of your room. And that's pretty much as explicit as she'll get with it. She'll just be like, I know that feels really good. And you can do that in the privacy of your own room. Yeah, just making it not tough. A dirty thing and not a shameful thing is so important.
Yeah. That would be hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
They literally, I don't know, they get way too excited riding that bicycle. I'm like, what are you doing? And they're and they're just riding the bike. And I'm like, and my husband is so conservative when it comes to our children. He's like, what are they doing? I'm like, I don't know. But I totally know what they're doing. So they're not rubbing the couch. They just love the seat of their bikes. They're going to listen to this episode one day and be like, Mom, you've ruined my life. Oh well, sorry.
But just how many.
You gotta tell your therapist something. My mother had a podcast back in 2022, and she's talking about me as an 8-year-old riding a bike. I mean, I did like it, but she's crazy. So sorry.
No. This is all good stuff. So the other thing you talked about, and I was just I really wanted to talk about masturbation on the show because when do we ever get to do that? But.
I mean, I'm psyched. I think I said should be a regular guest.
I know.
Yeah.
She could have her own corner of designated drinker.
The sexy corner, yes.
Sex in the corner or something. I don't know.
Yeah, sex in the corner. That's not something you did in the club in the 90s. You're like,
Were
oh.
you there?
Yeah. Oh, I was at the tunnel in New York City and I had sex in the corner. Perfect.
So you talked about the fact that you use like Reiki and yoga, and you did just kind of touch on attachment theory. Tell us a little bit about that. How does that play into it? Other than you can do enough yoga, you can put your head over your leg over your head.
So I like to incorporate, I named my business Cosmos Sutra because Cosmos is the spiritual aspect of it. Sutra is obviously Kama Sutra. It's the sexual aspect of it. So I thought that was really cute to put it together, because I do have training in both areas, and I like to incorporate them because I think that the more in touch you are with yourself, both physically and literally, the more in touch you are with yourself, the more comfortable you can be in your body. A lot of people come to me and have problems with being too in their head while they're having sex, or they're just worrying about making their partner orgasm or themselves orgasm, and they can't just let it go and tap into their own sexuality and their spirituality. So I think the more experience you have with meditation and Reiki and yoga, the more in tune you can be with your body and your needs and your boundaries.
I could see that.
It's all weaves together.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And Dave's tapping my shoulder, and I'm all up into oh my God, I didn't write my script for the show, and that's all I can think about. I mean, I'm obviously not going. It makes sense if you can be in the moment and find a way to make yourself present. Of course, that makes sense.
Are you married?
I am not.
No, she's she's a young woman.
Well, the only reason why I'm asking you this is because there'll be a time in your life where you're doing a shopping list in your head and just going through the motions.
No, I never do that, Gina. I never.
Never.
You'll have that moment where you're just I had so much to do, and it's been an all day nagging thing of when's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? You're all right, let's just do it. My arm is gonna hurt. And you're okay. And then you just do it.
Yeah.
And then But sometimes I feel, you know what? I'll be blatantly honest. Why do women feel guilt? Why do women have a harder time asking for it than when men do?
Oh, because we are so programmed to be male pleasing, and it's so much easier for men to orgasm. And, obviously men just have to use penetration to orgasm. The good genitals are on the outside. So we have the outside stimulation, and it's just, I feel unfortunately for a long time, women were just kind of on the back burner for pleasure. And we were just kind of seen as ways to procreate. Yeah. And so that was just kind of built into our society. And we are slowly unlearning that more and more. And I know a lot of people, men, luckily not men that I've had experience with, but my friends and stuff like that, a lot of men are insulted or intimidated if we ask to bring toys into the bedroom. Kind of I can do this myself kind of thing. But no, you can't. Let's just... Let's just get the help that we need to get us there so we can all orgasm together.
Totally agree.
I love that too.
You know what would make me happy right now, Gina?
Yeah, I mean, I think I need something. I mean, I should have just brought a dildo and kind of mixed the drink with that. How about that?
That would be a new mixing tool. You could actually, if it had the right controls, it could spin and shake all at the same time.
Yeah, so they make that thing. Is that called the rabbit? They have that.
That's what I'm saying. If you get the right one.
I mean, I'll do a whole other thing. Be this thing makes the greatest. No, all right, let's just make a cocktail.
Okay, let's make a cocktail.
So every episode, we get inspired by our guests. You inspired me to do a Long Island iced tea.
Oh, rock on.
And I know this sounds ridiculous, right? Because everyone's oh, Long Island iced teas. Well, all of these classic old school cocktails, espresso martini, Long Island iced tea, grasshopper, is making a resurgence in the cocktail world again. And I wanted to make this cocktail for you because there is nothing that was more served at the Playboy Mansion ever than this cocktail. So you have to be he's been making everybody have sex for years, right? So I feel if you're inspiring people, we're gonna do it in a mini version. So here's what you need, right? Really simple. If you're gonna make this for you and your partner, you're gonna adapt everything into a 1 ounce version. But for right now, so I'm making one for myself and my partner Louise today, right? Okay, so we're gonna do 1 ounce of vodka, and we're gonna do 1 ounce of tequila or mezcal. You could use either one. And every time you pick a different ingredient, Just remember, it's going in your body, so pick the things that you like and think are delicious. So now here's my trick to the Long Island iced tea. I love this drink, but I love to use spiced rum. So we're gonna use 1 ounce of Thrasher spiced rum, which is actually here. Whoops, it's actually here in DC. I just spilled a lot of it here in DC. And then here's a twist. It calls for Cointreau, but if you use Patron Citron, which is really lovely in there, and it gives it a little bit of a different flavor, that would be super excellent. And then we're gonna use 1 ounce of gin. So again, if you missed anything, it'll be at designateddrinker.show. So do not worry. This is a complicated cocktail. It is delicious though. I'm gonna ask my lovely assistant Louise to help me with this drink today. It's because I need a little bit of ice.
Here I come.
And then we're gonna take our simple syrup, which we made in our first episode. And again, simple syrup is quite simple, but also something really easy to mess up. So we're gonna take 1/2 ounce of that. And we're gonna take a lemon, and we're gonna use 1/2 a lemon or 1.5 ounces of lemon juice. And then we're gonna take 1.5 ounces of lime juice, fresh. So this is a little bit different. It calls for sour mix in a lot of recipes, but I'm showing you how to do it, so it's just a little bit elevated. So, there's nothing, for me, that smell of citrus, and I think it's a lot of women, is a huge stimulator and wakes you up and makes you feel good. And it's something that women in general, I find to be lovely because it's in all of our perfumes and fragrance and stuff like that, right? All right, so now we have in here all of these wonderful ingredients, and we are going to finish this with Coca-Cola. So first we're gonna do is put ice on top, give this a shake. Now this is where the drink is gonna get a little bit different. You gave it a shake. Now you're gonna take Coca-Cola. I know, gross, right? We did all these great ingredients. And now we're gonna take good old Coca-Cola. I actually got Coke Zero because I don't know why, but I just love the fakeness of this. Anyway, it's 1, 2, 3 ounces. And now you're like, why are you putting that in there? Because it's gonna make it the color of iced tea. And now when you add the fizzy, you pour it back and forth from your shaker bottom to your shaker top, because this is no longer a shaking cocktail because you now have something that's carbonated in there. Mm-hmm. So what you like to do, or what you should do, is give it a roll. So going back and forth between 10 is a roll. And some cocktails call for that. All right, so we have all that in there. I'm gonna use my hand, because you told me I should use my hand in the first episode, so that's what I'm doing here. And I'm gonna use these smaller glasses. Now the reason why I'm doing this is a fully octane cocktail. Do you really need all of that at once? I mean, I don't know, maybe if it's Friday. But we're gonna just take that and pour it into our glass. And little mini versions. So we'll just call them, I'm trying to think of what's a good fun name for a mini excursion into Long Island. We'll call it Long Island City. That's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it the Long Island City instead of Long Island Iced Tea. Because you're only in for a little bit.
There you go.
And there's gonna just give it a little. Well, these glasses are tiny, so we'll just do a half. Do a little half moon on there. 1 and 2, and that's it. And cheers.
Cheers.
And then after one of these, it's baby making time.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So, what's scary about this drink when you make this right is that you cannot taste any of the liquor. They're terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, what a different episode of Designated Drinker, that is for sure. You are refreshing, Chelsey. Very refreshing.
Just like that cocktail. Complex, but it all comes together to make something amazing.
So now I'm going to ask the fun question. Does your insurance cover this?
So currently, no, I do not take insurance.
Because I think that's one of the biggest things. And I think sometimes people get really hung up on and on any kind of health, that's not covered under insurance. They're like, oh, I don't need it. I'm like, you fucking need therapy. This is so much better. Like, you should get therapy and sex therapy. I mean, what gets better than that?
Well, the good news is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know you will, you not only see patients where you are locally, you see them online, correct?
Yes, I use Zoom to see a lot of my clients.
I feel like that's a lot safer in your line of business, where you would do, you gotta have some clients that are kind of like super, free and like, into it. So like if they have questions or something and they're coming to see you, some people just want to talk about it with somebody else. Do you ever find that they don't need actually any help? They just want to like talk about it?
Oh, absolutely. Some people just love to bounce ideas off people and maybe just get some validation from a third party kind of thing. Yeah. And a lot of the exercises I do are very intimate. So it can be difficult to do it online. But I don't know. I think it all works out.
I love that.
Just in case anyone missed it, I had to do our housekeeping. Where are they going to go get this?
You're going to go to designateddrinker.show for their tips, tricks, how to get to Chelsey, how to take all of your drinking money and save it because you're going to mix cocktails at home and then hire her to make your bedroom spicier.
That sounds perfect. That's
Right?
great advice.
And then we'll be putting kink in a jar, and that'll be located also at designateddrinker.show.
Well, yeah, there's that. I don't even know how to recover from that now.
I mean, hello. Did you see what I just poured in a glass? Take 5 ounces of liquor and a half an ounce of juice and some Coca-Cola, and that's what I'm going to make you. Good luck.
Chelsey's going to leave us one thing. Our takeaway is that we need to masturbate. Is that true?
Yes.
Start
and also
there.
do the uncomfy child work. But yes, masturbate.
Yes.
Just masturbate. Everybody, go do it.
And then we're going to have
It'll put you in a great mood.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I do actually have a fun tip.
Oh, please give us your fun tip.
It's really important to masturbate right before like a job interview or something like that because your skin glows. So you have like a nice glow to you. Just like a little fun tip. If you're trying to like land a deal or something.
I just thought of something so funny. I can't say it though. Somebody else
Maybe
is
you
going to listen
shouldn't,
to
and
it.
depending on the job, maybe you shouldn't do it while you interview, though.
You know how many people I interview for jobs?
Yeah, I would recommend before, not during. I mean, like you said, depends on the job.
And wash your hands. If you're
Yes.
coming to interview for me, please wash your hands. Like, oh, I listen to your podcast. Did you wash your hands?
Yeah.
So, in this day and age, everybody has a different, animal, spiritual animal that you identify with. And you might identify with the bumblebee because they're little worker bees and they're totally into, making honey. And, everyone says you do it like a bee, right? Busy like a bee. If you can identify yourself as one spirited ingredient, whether it's in food or beverage, what would that ingredient be and why would that describe you?
So I was listening to your other podcasts preparing for this question,
Yes.
and I'm going to go with the first thing that popped into my mind. I'm going to go with Parmesan cheese.
Awesome.
Because I feel like, a lot or a little, I add a little something,
I love that. That's a first. We've not had anybody say that to us.
So
I
what
love
I
Parmesan
heard is
cheese.
that she likes to be on top.
Yeah.
Well.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Well, cheers to Parmesan cheese and masturbation.
Yes.
Yes.
Cheers.
The Designated Drinker Show is produced by Missing Link, a podcast media company that is dedicated to connecting people to intelligent, engaging, and informative content. Also in the Missing Link lineup of podcasts is Rodger That, a podcast dedicated to guiding you through the haze of dementia, led by skilled caregivers Bobbi and Mike Carducci. Now, if you're looking for a whole new way to enjoy the theater, check out Between Acts, an immersive audio theater podcast experience. Each episode takes you on a spellbinding journey through the works of newfound playwrights, from dramas to comedies and everything in between. Find Missing Link's League of Podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts. Please don't forget to subscribe, download, and review the shows. Your review helps our shows reach new audiences. To find out more about Missing Link, visit missinglink.company. That's missinglink.company.